Hi everyone, I am Dr. David Peña-Guzmán.
And I'm Dr. Ellie Anderson.
And we are the co-host of the Overthink podcast and of this YouTube channel. And we are here today to make a video as part of our series on aphoristic texts. Today we are going to be talking about a member of the Frankfurt School, Theodor Adorno. And Ellie has selected for us an aphorism from Minima Moralia.
Great. Minima Moralia is such an awesome text. A lot of this text is written in kind of Nietzsche-length paragraphs, so it's not, the aphorisms aren't like single sentences, so I chose a part of a passage from Minima Moralia here for us to consider, because I wanted to keep it, pithy. So, yeah, I'll go for it. This is from page 186 if you're using the Verso edition.
And can you actually just share the title and the subtitle?
Minima Moralia, Reflections from Damaged Life. Yes. Reflections from Damaged Life. Okay. Sunday fails to satisfy, not because it is a day off work, but because its own promise is felt directly as unfulfilled. So the reason I chose this is because the first time I read Minima Moralia, I wrote in the margins, all caps, Sunday scaries. So here's Adorno.
The Monday scaries? That's what you feel?
What the heck are the Monday scaries?
Is it not the
Sunday scaries?
Oh my god, I think I have it confused. That's what you get Sunday night.
Yeah.
Before Monday. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I've been calling them the Monday scaries. Because you're scared of Monday.
You're missing the alliteration with the S. Okay, so Sunday fails to satisfy. I love how Adorno gets at the Sunday scaries here. And what I take this aphorism just at face value to be saying is that there's something deeply unsettling, troubling, dissatisfying about Sundays. And it's not because it's a day off work. Like, we shouldn't conclude from this that, we're happier when we're working, we're unhappy when we're not working. But rather, that the problem with Sunday is because its own promise is felt directly as unfulfilled. Mm-hmm. What do you take this to mean?
So
second half.
Yeah, so I do think it is connected, obviously, to the significance of Sunday as the day of worship and the day of rest.
The day of rest,
we know that it's sort of by law that it's been decreed.
I think it's day of rest more than day of worship for Adorno. I don't think he cares so much about this being the day of worship.
Well, I actually don't think he rests all that much. He's troubled by thought and by philosophy.
You've seen that picture of him on the beach.
Yeah, that was a Wednesday, though. The Wednesday scaries. With the unitard. We should put a picture of that on the video.
I think we've talked about it enough on the podcast. Actually.
Yes, anyway.
I think it's played out.
So I do think it's important to specify that it is tied to the specificity of Sunday as a day of rest. Mm-hmm. And we know it has been dictated by law that it should be respected as such. I think the first time that it was decreed was in the 4th century under the Roman Emperor Constantine I, that it was decreed that this day is set aside for people to rest, also worship. And originally it had the exception of farmers still have to work on that day. But so I think that because there is this expectation that is built into the calendar and that is repetitive, that we just expect Sunday will live up to this expectation of giving us a sense of release from the pressures of the work week, that it cannot do that. And so by the time Sunday rolls around, we experience it, he says, directly as unfulfilled. Yeah.
And also that, part of that feeling of being liberated from work has to do with not anticipating that work is coming next. And so the Sunday scaries emerge because you know that tomorrow you're going to have to work. And so that then ends up coloring your experience of Sunday. Even if you're not actually, I remember in high school, you would have to do your homework on Sunday. And so you were actually working on Sunday in preparation for the work week of high school. But even if you're not doing any work on Sundays, there's still this anticipation. And he quotes, in the passage around this area too, he quotes the French term, the nostalgie du dimanche. So the French term for Sunday scaries is this Sunday nostalgia. And this sense of, I think he wants to play on this idea that Sunday is never a day that you can actually rest in the sense of resting in the enjoyment of it. Another amazing line from this area in the text is, every Sunday is too little Sunday.
Oh, yeah. It's never big enough that it actually fulfills the promise that it sets for us.
Yes.
Although I really like the French, la nostalgie du dimanche, because nostalgia there would make reference not so much to the fact that we are anticipating the following week, but that the previous week has already gone by.
Yeah.
And I think that the nostalgia there would also lead to a certain disappointment, because let's face it, most weeks are roughly the same.
Yeah.
Right? And so by the time Sunday comes around, you feel nostalgic for the week, but at the same time, you feel disappointed in the fact that your life is spinning upon its axis, and so is the Sunday, right?
Yeah, but the passage in which he says that, he says the nostalgie du dimanche is not a longing for the working week, but for the state of being emancipated from it. So how I would kind of add to what you just said is that you're longing for the feeling that you have during the working week, that the end of the working week is imminent. So it's like when you're working during the week, you're looking forward to the liberation from work that you will get over the weekend. Mm-hmm. But then over the weekend, you're looking forward to the working week.
Yeah.
And that's not such a good feeling.
Or it's just not enough, right? Or even if it does fulfill a little bit of the promise, it's so little in comparison to the anticipation and to the desire, which is a human desire for liberation from exploitative work, that every Sunday is too little Sunday.
This is how I feel about vacations too.
Yeah.
Every vacation is too little vacation. And I do think I've gotten better about this over time as I've gotten older, but I think there's something about the structure of a vacation where the anticipation over determines the enjoyment that you can actually have while you're on the vacation. And then also while you're on the vacation, that anticipation of returning back to your life afterward is a frequent factor of anxiety.
Yeah, because think about what that vacation or that Sunday is meant to achieve. It's meant to fulfill your desire for freedom in a day, for like a fully human existence in 24 hours. And the same thing for a vacation, especially in the US, where workers don't really have as much vacation, in some cases any vacation. And so whenever you do have a little bit of vacation time, all this pressure rides on what you're going to do, which leads you to try to maximize the experience, which leads you to instrumentalize the experience.
Yeah.
And so it ends up being almost more work to go on vacation than to not have gone on vacation in the first place.
And there is that sort of curmudgeonly strand of Adorno's thinking that I think you see here, but I love that curmudgeonly dimension because he's sort of pushing us to see that what we take to be so beautiful and life-affirming actually has something dark and life-denying about it. And he's like, but just let's be honest about that too. It's about a lot more than being honest about it, but that is certainly part of it. So Sunday fails to satisfy because its own promise is felt directly as unfulfilled.
Yeah, well, its own promise is felt as unfulfilled. Yeah, it's like Sunday, we don't trust you anymore because you burnt us so many times. Your words are empty. So by the time you come around, we're kind of ready for Monday already. Not even ready, we're resigned to Monday.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that very cheery note, thanks for joining us for thinking through this piece of Adorno's. This has been Overthink Podcast. I'm Ellie. This is David. If you enjoyed this, consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already. Thanks to those who already have. We also have a really lovely Patreon community. So if you want to join our Patreon, we have monthly Zooms and other bonus segments, especially related to our audio podcast, Overthink, where we've talked about Adorno in quite a few episodes of Overthink as well.
We have.
So.
And we've also talked about calendar time.
We have. We've talked about time and a lot about how capitalism leads us to not be able to lean into enjoyment of it. Thanks so much.